Hello, you are on the Epic Life Stories channel. Today we will listen to a new exciting story. Subscribe to the channel. Enjoy watching. Story: Unpredictable Response. Ava Johnson, a successful businesswoman, arrives at a luxury hotel in the city center for an important business meeting. The hotel was known for its impeccable service and privileges for VIP guests. Ava was excited because this visit was not just a vacation for her, but part of an important business round that could change her career. When Ava entered the hotel, she was met by a manager named Michael. At first glance, Michael seemed friendly, but this impression quickly disappeared when he began to serve her. He unwittingly showed disdain and was clearly impatient with her. Finally, when Ava tried to get her room key, he rudely told her that her reservation was not confirmed, despite having all the necessary documents. Michael, aware that Ava was black, showed inexplicable bias. He said her credit card was declined even though Ava had a solid credit history. Michael continued to insist that she probably did not have enough money to stay at this hotel, despite her high position and successful career. Ava felt humiliated. All her experiences with high-end hotels had always been positive, and this came as a real shock. She did not want to get into a conflict, but she was determined to stand up for her rights. When Michael finally left her alone, Ava decided not to take the usual route. Instead of trying to resolve the issue with him directly, she wrote a letter to the hotel owners. In the letter, she described the situation in detail, including Michael's unacceptable behavior and prejudiced attitude. But she didn't stop there. Ava also provided proof of her solvency and then decided to use her social media platform to share her experience. She published a post in which she spoke honestly about what happened, but did not do it with the intention of condemnation, but to emphasize the importance of treating all guests fairly and respectfully, regardless of their background. Ava's post quickly attracted the attention of the media and the public. The hotel came under scrutiny, and soon an official statement was issued from the managers, in which they apologized to Ava and promised to conduct an internal investigation. Michael was suspended from work pending the outcome of the review. Ava, despite her personal circumstances being unsatisfactory, used her platform to create positive change. The hotel offered her free accommodation and various benefits to compensate for the inconvenience, and also promised to introduce training for employees on equality and non-discrimination. Ava's story has inspired many. She became a prominent human rights advocate and was active in discussions about equality and anti-discrimination. Her courage and determination showed how important every person's voice is in the fight against bias and injustice. The hotel has also made significant changes to its policies, including new standards to ensure respect and equality among all guests. Ava continued her work, but now her name became synonymous with fighting for justice and equality, inspiring others to action and change. Continuation: The Price of Victory. Ava Johnson continued to be an active advocate for human rights and equality, and her story has had a significant impact on public opinion and service practice. Following the outcry that her post generated, many organizations and institutions began to review their policies to prevent such incidents of racism and discrimination. However, despite the public recognition and positive changes, Ava's personal life began to become complicated. The public attention she received became a burden. Ava often faced trolling and criticism on social media from those who disagreed with her activism. Moreover, some business partners began to refuse to cooperate with her due to her new reputation and the possible risks associated with it. Soon after the public outcry, Ava faced even greater difficulties. Her company, which was initially thriving, began to suffer from financial problems. Constant media scandals and growing pressure on business have caused declining profits and deteriorating relationships with clients. Things came to a head when one of the biggest deals Ava was relying on to turn her company around financially fell through. As a result, her business was on the verge of bankruptcy. Against the backdrop of all these events, Ava was faced with another personal tragedy. She lost a close friend who was her support in difficult times. This friend was also an activist and worked to support minorities. His death from a heart attack, which, as it turned out, was caused by constant stress and pressure, was a heavy blow for Ava. It is a reminder of how costly the fight for justice and equality can be. Following tragedy and financial hardship, Ava was forced to reconsider her priorities and goals. Even though her work brought about many positive changes in society, Her personal life and business began to fall apart. She felt empty and lost. During this difficult period, Ava decided to leave active work and focus on restoring her health and well-being. She spent several months in seclusion to cope with her emotions and try to find balance in her life. This period of recovery proved important for her personal growth and understanding of true values. After some time, Ava decided to use her experience to create a new foundation focused on helping people who find themselves in difficult situations after fighting for rights and justice. The fund aimed to support activists and their families by providing them with psychological support and resources to cope with stress and difficulties. Ava began working to help others facing similar challenges, and her new project became a symbol of hope and restoration. Although she continued to face challenges, her efforts brought new opportunities to support and inspire those who continue to fight for justice. Ava Johnson's story provides an important lesson about the cost of activism and the fight for justice. She demonstrated that even the best intentions can lead to personal sacrifices and difficulties. However, her tenacity and ability to overcome challenges has inspired many to continue the fight for equality and support those on the front lines of this fight. Ava found comfort and meaning in using her personal struggles to help others. Her story was a reminder that true strength and courage are found not only in victories, but also in the ability to continue moving forward, despite any difficulties and losses. Continuation, renaissance and new perspectives. Eventually, after months of rest and self-reflection, Ava Johnson began to feel ready to return to activism. She realized that her new mission was not only to support those facing discrimination and injustice, but also to educate the community about the importance of caring for one's own well-being and supporting those fighting for change. Ava began active collaboration with psychotherapists and an organization specializing in supporting activists. Together they developed a health program for people under pressure due to their social activities. The program included stress management training, counseling and support groups. Together with her new team, Ava began conducting educational seminars and masterclasses for activists and public figures. These activities were aimed at helping people cope with personal difficulties arising from their activities. Ava shared her experience and knowledge to educate others on the importance of mental health and peer support. She also began writing a book documenting her journey, personal trials and triumphs, and providing practical advice on self-help and coping. The book quickly gained popularity and became an important resource for those who fight for rights and justice but face heavy burdens. In parallel, Ava continued to work on a new fund. Under her leadership, the foundation has become an important player in the field of activist rights. He began to receive support from major organizations and donors, which allowed him to expand his activities and create new programs. Ava also organized a series of public events aimed at raising awareness of issues related to the fight for justice. These events attracted media and public attention, creating a new wave of support and understanding. As her project gained popularity, Ava also began to find balance in her personal life. She reconnected with loved ones who supported her during difficult times. Family ties, restored after tragedy and crises, became a source of strength and support for her. Ava also found a new passion in art and hobbies that allowed her to express her feelings and experiences. She began painting, and her work became a symbol of her emotional and spiritual rebirth. Ava Johnson's story has become a symbol of overcoming and fortitude. Her journey from personal tragedy to public impact and support has become an inspiration to many. The foundation she created continued to grow and help people facing difficulties in their fight for justice. Ava realized that her mission was not only to fight for justice, but also to support and inspire those on the front lines of this fight. She understood that true strength and success lay not only in the change she could make in the world, but also in how she could help others overcome their own challenges. Ava continued to work, inspiring others with her example and dedication. Her story remained a living reminder that even in the most difficult situations, hope and new opportunities for growth and change can be found. Sequel, Dark Secrets and a New Challenge. One of Ava's normal days at her new foundation, she received a strange email that immediately caught her attention. The email was anonymous and threatening, suggesting that her work had attracted the attention of those who did not want change. Ava was concerned, but decided that it might just be empty threats. However, Within a few days she began receiving suspicious calls and messages. Someone was following her movements and trying to interfere with the work of the foundation. Ava began to feel that her life and safety were at risk. Ava turned to a private investigator for help to get to the bottom of the situation. The investigation led to unexpected results. It turned out that the threats were driven by the interests of influential businessmen and politicians who were unhappy with the growing popularity of her foundation and its impact on social norms. These people were associated with the hotel that humiliated Ava, and they did not tolerate her struggle becoming a symbol of change. They tried to stop her actions in order to maintain their influence and continue to discriminate behind closed doors. The investigation led to the discovery of even more shocking facts. It turned out that in the hotel where the incident took place and in other elite establishments, secret networks of racist groups and corrupt officials were organized that controlled various spheres of public life. Ava, having learned these facts, realized that her fight for justice became part of a much larger and complex confrontation. She decided that her goal now was not only to help activists, but also to expose these dark networks. Along with a detective and a few trusted colleagues, Ava devised a plan to gather evidence and expose the criminal schemes. They began gathering information, setting up meetings with insiders, and using hidden cameras and recordings to uncover corruption and racist activities. Meanwhile, the pressure on Ava increased. Her life and the lives of her loved ones were in danger. One of her employees was attacked and her own office was broken into. These events only strengthened Ava's resolve to uncover the truth and protect those under threat. As a result of hard work and months of gathering evidence, Ava and her team produced a major expose. They released the data they collected, including evidence of racist practices and corruption, which attracted the attention of media and human rights organizations around the world. The public outrage was enormous. Politicians and businessmen involved in this scandal began to face investigations and legal consequences. As a result, the system that supported racism and discrimination began to crumble. After the exposure and fall of corrupt structures, Ava and her foundation received new opportunities for work. Public recognition and support increased, and her project to support activists became even more significant. Ava continued her work, but now she was not only a symbol of the struggle, but also an inspiring person who was able to win the most difficult fight for justice. Her efforts have led to the creation of new laws and standards aimed at preventing discrimination and supporting those fighting for change. Despite all the difficulties and dangers, Ava found peace in her new endeavor. She realized that her struggle brought real change in society and helped many people. Her personal life also began to improve. She was able to restore her relationships with loved ones and return to her hobby, painting. Ava Johnson's story ends as a powerful reminder that true strength and courage lies in the ability to fight for the truth despite overwhelming odds. Her actions brought real change and inspired many to continue the fight for justice and equality. After the violent revelation and the fall of corrupt structures, it seemed that Ava Johnson's life was getting better again. She continued to actively work on her foundation and actively participate in community initiatives. However, despite her outward success, she felt deep anxiety inside. One day, while on a business trip, Ava received a phone call that changed her life forever. It was a personal call from an old friend who had become a famous journalist. He reported that in his research he was able to discover information that he considered extremely important to Ava. The journalist unearthed new evidence that some of those involved in corrupt schemes and racist practices continued to hide and operate from the shadows. Among them were high-profile individuals who began to increase their influence in new areas, such as social media and financial technology, to continue manipulation and discrimination, but in a more hidden and veiled manner. Ava realized that her work was not finished yet. She decided to conduct her own investigation and go back to the front line. Together with her team, she began studying new threats and developing a strategy to identify and expose new schemes. Meanwhile, her personal life began to crumble again. The surveillance of her activities became more aggressive. Ava found that her actions had attracted the attention of dangerous groups who did not want her to continue her work. These groups began to actively hinder her efforts by spreading false accusations and creating a stir around her reputation. One day, When Ava was ready for a major press conference to reveal the results of her new investigation, she was faced with a real threat. At the last moment, she was informed that her team and herself were in physical danger. Ava and her colleagues were forced to take security measures and postpone the press conference. The night before the new public revelation, Ava was in her apartment when strangers tried to break down her door. Her instincts and training allowed her to remain calm, and she was able to call for help before the situation got out of hand. But these events confirmed that her struggle had reached a new level of danger. Despite threats and difficult circumstances, Ava and her team were able to successfully hold a press conference in a specially prepared and protected location. The data released had a stunning impact. Former corrupt officials and manipulators were exposed, and new investigations began, which revealed even more violations and corruption. However, this was more than just a victory for Ava. She realized that real victory lies not in simply exposing evil, but in creating a sustainable system that can protect those at risk. Her new project aimed to create protected spaces for activists and victims of corruption to safely express themselves and fight for change. Ava continued her work, but now she emphasized creating long-term solutions and strengthening systems that could prevent future abuse. She took part in creating an international coalition to protect the rights of activists and human rights defenders, which became her main achievement. Her life and work have become a symbol not only of the fight for justice, but also of the strength of spirit, the willingness to go to the end and create lasting change. Ava learned to appreciate every moment of her life and use her trials to create real change in society. Ava Johnson's story ends as a powerful reminder that true strength and courage lies not only in fighting injustice, but in the ability to bounce back and create positive change even after the darkest periods. Her legacy lives on through those she inspired and those who continued her work in the fight for justice. This is the end of this wonderful story. I hope you liked it, and you were imbued with this atmosphere. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as it promotes my video. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye everyone.